In the United States, the federal census makes a good foundation for our genealogy research. And this year, we're going to have a brand new one to work with. So here's what you need to know to get ready for the release of the 1950 census. If you've been doing genealogy for a while, you might be asking, why should I be excited about the 1950 census? I'm glad you asked. Well, first, you never know exactly what's going to be in a record until you actually look at it. And that's certainly true with the census. You never know if some unexpected family member is going to be living in the household at that time. You're also going to see that ancestor in context with the rest of their neighborhood. Seeing the neighbors and seeing what the neighborhood was like, that can really help you understand that ancestor a little bit better. And as a bonus, if you have any living relatives who were in the 1950 census, I encourage you, when the images are ready, to show that record to them and have them walk you through the neighborhood. That's something I did with my parents in the 1940 census. I showed them their entries in the census, and each of them showed me who all of their neighbors were and told me what they remembered about those people. It was like taking a walk through their childhood neighborhoods. The release of the 1950 census is going to be unlike any census that has come before. For the first time, the National Archives and Records Administration, or NARA, will be releasing not only the images of the census, but also an every name index. They're creating this index using handwriting recognition software along with artificial intelligence. And it's going to be very interesting to see how that index turns out. Obviously, the index isn't going to be 100% accurate. So it's a good idea to have a backup plan just in case that index didn't get our ancestors' names quite right. Here's what you need to do. First, you'll need to have some idea of where that ancestor was living in 1950. If you don't know where they were living in 1950, hang on. I'll tell you how to handle that in just a second. If you do know where your ancestor was living in 1950, you can find what's called the Enumeration District. An Enumeration District was the area that the enumerator, or the census taker, was responsible for covering. And when you know the Enumeration District, then you can go into those specific images in the census. You don't have to browse through the entire county trying to find the area that you're interested in. Fortunately, there's a website that makes it really easy to find those 1950 enumeration districts. And it's at stevemorse.org. Let me show you how it works. Here we are on the stevemorse.org website. To get started, hover over U.S. Census and then choose the Unified Census ED Finder. Make sure that it says 1950 here at the top. I want the enumeration district for East Tawas, Michigan. I can go into the state, and in this case I'll select Michigan. It says that the county is optional, but I like to go ahead and add it. I know that East Tawas is in Iosco County, so I can choose that as well. And then in the drop-down, if there are multiple cities that are within that county, there will often be several different selections. Here we have Other, so I have to specify something. So I'm going to select Other, and then I'm going to enter East Tawas. When we scroll down the page a little bit, I can see that East Tawas could be in 3 different enumeration districts. Now, when the 1950 census images are available, if Census Pages is selected and we click on one of those enumeration districts, it will take us directly to those images on the NARA website. But as of the time of this recording, those images aren't available yet. I want to see a little bit more about these different enumeration districts. Can the description of them help me narrow it down further? And the option that I like is the Enumeration District Description Microfilm. And I'm going to go ahead and just click on the first one, 35-4. Now I can see the actual NARA publication where they're describing the different enumeration districts. And I'm here in Michigan in Iosco County. And as I scroll down, I can see all of them for that county, 35-4, which is Baldwin Township outside East Tawas City. Because the person I'm looking for is actually in East Tawas, this description tells me that 35-4 is not the one that I want. It looks like perhaps 35-6, where we do have East Tawas City, and it's described as that part bounded by the city limits on 3 sides and Smith and Franklin on the other side. As we scroll down a little bit more, we see that 35-7 is another part of East Tawas, bounded by Franklin and Smith and the city limits on the other 2 sides. So if I had a map of East Tawas, I could probably get an idea of how this is actually divided. Is it north and south? Is it east and west? And then I could judge which enumeration district would be more likely. As it is, there are only 2, so that's really not that many to have to go through if I do have to do that. If your ancestor lived in a place that was larger than a village, you're going to need their street address, or at least a street. And let's take a look how that works on stevemorse.org. Let's say that I have an exact street address of 137 Mulberry in Lancaster, Ohio. I can start by choosing Ohio in this drop-down. I know that Lancaster is in Fairfield County. And then the city or town, I want Lancaster. As you can see, there are a lot of enumeration districts that are somehow associated with Lancaster. So I do want to narrow it down a bit if I can. So, as I said, I'm looking for 137, putting that here in the house number, and the street is Mulberry. And I can click the street drop down and scroll until I get to, there it is, Mulberry. Already, I've reduced the number of enumeration districts. Now, one thing that I like about the stevemorse.org website is that it's connected to Google Maps, and that's helpful because if you can see the streets that are around it, you might be able to better narrow down what enumeration district you need. So let's go ahead and click on this Google map. So there's 137 East Mulberry, and I can see that the next biggest cross street is going to be High Street. Over here we have North Broad Street. So let's go back over to that finder, and now I can enter some of those other cross streets. One of them was Broad Street, and just by doing that I narrowed it down to just one enumeration district. Again, I do like to look at the enumeration district on microfilm, and I'm going to go ahead and click this enumeration district, 2328. And as I scroll down, I see that 2328 is the city of Lancaster, part of Ward 1, bounded by 6th, North High, Wheeling, and Columbus. So let's see how that looks on the Google map. Again, that red pin is where we're looking at. So remember, it said it was bounded by 6th and High, Wheeling, and Columbus. So yes, that address of 137 Mulberry does fall in that description of that enumeration district. The enumeration district that I want is Ohio 2328. Quick tip for locating college students. The 1950 census changed the rules. For the first time, college students who were living away from home were supposed to be enumerated where they were living at their college, not back home with their parents like they had been in previous censuses. So what do you do if the NARA index didn't get your ancestor's name right, or you don't know exactly where they were living and there are too many results to go through? Well, NARA isn't going to be the only game in town. beginning at midnight, April 1st, Ancestry is going to be downloading all of the 1950 census images from NARA. And then in partnership with FamilySearch, they're going to be creating their own index. Now, Ancestry is also going to be using handwriting recognition software along with artificial intelligence to create theirs. But because their algorithms are going to be different than what NARA is using, it's going to result in two different indexes. It's going to take some time for Ancestry to download all those images and then run it through their indexing software. But the images and the indexes for the individual states will become available as different states are completed. So we don't have to wait for the entire United States to be done. Hey, Ancestry, if you're watching this, could you start with Ohio? That'd be great. MyHeritage is also going to be downloading the images and creating their own index. Now, I can't walk you through these different websites and how they're doing their searches because they're not available yet. But I'm going to be making lots of videos showing you exactly how those searches work, how to get more out of them, and how to get more out of the 1950 census itself. So make sure that you subscribe here to my channel so you can be notified about all of those upcoming videos. Something else that's really cool about the 1950 census is that FamilySearch is creating a volunteer indexing project. They're going to be starting with the index that was created in partnership with Ancestry. But volunteers can sign up for specific locations and review and correct those entries. And since the volunteers can select the locations that they're interested in, they're probably more familiar with the surnames in those locations, which should help improve the accuracy of that index even more. As the different websites with the 1950 census become available, the videos that I make walking you through how to use those websites will be put in a playlist that I will link right up here as soon as it's ready. You can also check out this video down here for more tips and tricks on how to make more discoveries in your genealogy. Happy researching!